Hi everybody, welcome to another Books and Looks video. I'm Jen. Thank you so much for coming and watching one of my videos. If you have seen other ones of my videos, then you know what I do here. If you are new, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like and comment and all that fun stuff. What I do on my videos is I put on my makeup while I talk about a book that I have recently read. And this week's book is called Salt and Sugar by Rebecca Carvalho. I believe is how you pronounce it. If I botched that, I'm very sorry. This book takes place in Brazil, and it's a food book and like a family roots kind of story. And it's really outside of my comfort zone, but the reason I read it is because the school district where I live does this thing annually, like a literacy night, and they have funds and grant money and whatnot to purchase a whole bunch of copies of the same few titles, one adult title, one like elementary title, and one like little title, and they all have some sort of common theme, and then they give them free to the community, as many as they have, and then we all come together for the literacy night event at the school, and they have like themed activities related to the story and literacy and reading and all that fun stuff, and it's really, really cool. So this year the title was Salt and Sugar by Rebecca Carvalho, and so I read it, and so here we are. I'll tell you about it. This book, like I said, takes place in Brazil. The author is Brazilian, and she lives in the United States now, but it takes place in Brazil, and it is about two families, the Ramirez family, and that's our narrator, Laurie, L-A-R-I, Ramirez. She's telling the story of her bakery called Salt's, and the rival bakery that is right across the street called Sugar, and they're the Ramirez family. And it's very Romeo and Juliet-esque, where the families are rivals, both as businesses, but also historically. Throughout the story, you come to find out that 3 generations ago, the one grandmother and the one grandfather used to work together, and they put together a recipe that they kind of invented, and they called it Salt and Sugar. And it had like a savory element and a sweet element, and it was very, very popular. And they were going to work together to open a bakery called Salt and Sugar, but the one ended up selling the recipe, or his part of the recipe or something, and so like this huge family feud started. And so it's 2 separate bakeries, Salt and Sugar, that just so happen to be right across the street from each other. And so here we are, present day, 1, 2, 3, 4 generations later, and the 2 teenagers, Laurie Ramirez, who again is telling the story, and Pedro Molina, they hate each other. They're maintaining the family rivalry, of course, but they go to the same school, and they're both, unbeknownst to each other, unbeknownst to the 2 families, both bakeries are really struggling financially because a chain grocery store called Deals has come into town and has been stealing customers. And they've been noticing over the past few years that all of the small businesses on their streets, like the restaurants, the shops, etc., have one by one been closing, and people have been moving away. So everybody's really struggling, and the bakeries are really struggling as well. But it's one of those situations where like they hate each other, so they won't band together and help each other. There's also this little side story of, well, no, I'll get to that. So, Deals shows up and is like, hey, we want to buy to both Salt and Sugar, we want to buy your storefront, your position, and open like a little offshoot of our supermarket here, like a little cafe or a little, mini store. And both families are like, never in a million years. And then there's also these rumors going around about both families. Like there's a rumor that the Ramirez side, Salt, has rats. And so people stop going there and, excuse me, And then the other side, I don't know what their rumors are, but there's rumors about them not being, or like they're awful to their employees or something. So both families are struggling as it is because of deals, but then there's also these rumors going around, and each family presumes that it's the other family that is spreading these rumors, right? So it just makes the feud worse. As it turns out, Deals is spreading these rumors. So they are both like, about to lose their electricity, about to lose, everything because they're so far behind in their bills and they're financially struggling, and neither of them want to sell, but they almost have to. And it's just this, dire situation. Well, like I said, the two kids go to the same school. And a little side plot is that, they hate each other in school. They have this long-term rivalry. But Pedro has a cooking club where he basically teaches people how to cook and uses like the school facilities, and he also has a small budget, and he makes food and donates it to like the retirement home in the area, things like that. Well, Laurie gets, she fails a quiz and wants to know if she can do extra credit. And the teacher's like, you know what? I think you would be a good fit for the cooking club. And this is a question I have the whole time. Like, why did the math teacher suggest the cooking club of all clubs to give her extra credit? She's like, if you join this club and stick with them for the rest of the semester, I'll give you extra credit or whatever. But like, why? Why did the math teacher do that? I don't know. That part was never really explained, but that's okay. So she ends up joining the cooking club, not knowing that her arch nemesis is running the club. And so she gets there and she's like, crap, well, I have to do this. So she sucks it up and endures and is, doing this cooking club. And when she realizes, oh my gosh, like, okay, Pedro's actually kind of nice. They're still fighting and like, your family spread rumors and your family spread rumors and like, well, you're going to sell to Deals and ruin the whole neighborhood, et cetera, et cetera. They fight, but they slowly, become friends, and then they start working together, and Laurie volunteers at like a youth center that teaches music, and their kitchen is broken, so they haven't been able to cook for the kids that go there. It's like a free facility for kids. So the cooking club decides to support them. And so they're doing stuff to support both like the retirement community and now this youth center. And this cooking club is doing all kinds of stuff. And then a little sidebar, Laurie is actually, she doesn't know how to cook. And she's keeping this a secret because she thinks it'll ruin her family's reputation for being a bakery. But the reason she can't cook is because her mother does not want her to be saddled with this bakery that is like on the brink of falling apart and on the brink of bankruptcy and all of that. So she's not letting her have anything to do with the business, and instead is making her like study and work hard, and wants her to go to college and become an accountant because her father, who passed away in an accident years ago, wanted to be an accountant and was like really, really good and did the business books and whatnot. But Laurie wants to run the bakery. She wants to be involved with the family business, right? Makes a lot of sense. But mom's like, nope, not going to happen. I'm not going to teach you how to cook, etc. So when Laurie joins this cooking club with her arch nemesis, she has to try to pretend like she knows how to cook because she doesn't want them to know, and then like use it against them and be like, oh, they don't even know how to cook. Why would you go to their business and buy baked goods when you can come to ours where our entire family, every single employee is an amazing cook, etc., etc. So she slowly learns to cook, and like Pedro knows, like he's not stupid. He recognizes that she doesn't know how to cook, but he's kind to her anyway. So slowly over the course of the book, they get to know each other. They become friends, and then of course, a little bit predictable, they fall in love with one another. So now they love each other. They have to keep it a secret. She's keeping the cooking club a secret. Mom's keeping a secret that the business is falling apart, and there's just like everything's a mess, right? So, and then of course Pedro has some secrets too about his family, where like he wants to update the recipes and, make new things to make it interesting. And Grandpa's like, no, this is my business and we are going to keep the recipes as they have always been. Tradition is important. And if you aren't on board, then you can just leave. So he's thinking about leaving his family to like go to a cooking school. And it's just like all this stuff is going on, right? And they're keeping it secret from like all these secrets. So It's chaotic. So, at this point, oh yes, there was a family that came to both the bakeries and is interested in them catering this huge birthday celebration. And they said, like, we want both of you there because you have different recipes and we want both of them there, et cetera, et cetera. But they're like, we refuse to work together, blah, 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 blah. And then the kids are like, listen, if like we need this business. And the mothers are also like, okay, fine, we need this business. We will work together, but we're not going to like it, right? So they start working together on this huge thing. It's going to basically like solve all their problems. This thing is such a um, big catering job, and also like party planning and like cakes and food and like a whole day party, all this stuff. It's basically going to solve the financial problems of both of them. So they decide, like, fine, we will figure out a way to work together even though we hate each other and we don't trust each other, et cetera, et cetera. Well, they are making progress, but unbeknownst to the families, Deals spreads more lies about the family. And so the catering job backs out literally like 3 days before the party, and both families are freaking out. What are we going to do? Like, this was supposed to save our businesses. They're fighting even more than ever because they're both threatening. Like, I'm going to sell to Deals. I can't believe you've been talking to Deals. Well, I'm going to sell first. Don't you can't take this from me. This is my family's livelihood. How dare you? You're so mean. You're so awful. And it's crazy because they're both in the same predicament and they're both really struggling. And if they would just freaking work together, but that's how family rivalries go. And that's kind of like the whole point of it, is showing how there's misconceptions and there's lies and there's confusion, and people just need to get it together and work together and be kind. So I like that's the message there. Well, another little side plot, like I said, Laurie wants to be a cook and Pedro wants to take over the family business as well and like tweak it and update it. And so there is a local cooking school, like a culinary school, that Pedro had applied to, but or he wanted to apply to, but his family was adamantly against it. Like, absolutely not. How humiliating that the family bakery, you have to go to cooking school. Like, no, you know how to cook. You go to cooking school, it's going to make it look like you don't know how to cook. So, but Pedro really wants to, because like, even if you are a really good cook, going to a cooking school will improve your skills, right? Well, Laurie decides she wants to run the family business too. She's always wanted to, but she couldn't tell her mom because her mom's like, no, you're not going to do this. You're going to go to college and be an accountant, et cetera, et cetera. Well, so the two kids decide, we are going to apply to this school together behind our parents' backs, and like we'll figure out a way to tell them. And at this point, they've like fallen in love and they want to be together forever, blah, blah, blah. Well, then they find out that there is a cooking contest at this cooking culinary school, and the prize is like this big chunk of money. They don't think it ever specifies. They're just like, this is enough money. Like, this prize is enough money to save both of our family's businesses. We just have to work together because it's like a team thing. You have to have a team. And so they decide to do this contest because during their cooking classes, or their little cooking club, they also, just for fun, it turned out to be accidental, they invented a new recipe that, as it turns out, is very similar to the original recipe from several generations ago that created the salt and sugar thing that, in turn caused the rivalry. So they're like, oh my gosh, this is meant to be. This is what we're going to put into this cooking contest. We're going to save our businesses. We're going to end the family rivalry. And it's all these beautiful things. Very Romeo and Juliet. And as a matter of fact, what's kind of fun is the name of the recipe. Like, when you take two typically different recipes where one's kind of savory and one's kind of sweet, and you blend them together, it's called a Romeo and Juliet recipe. So that's, it's very meaningful and very cool that this is their thing that they're going to put in for the cooking contest. So again, they're keeping all of the secret. The moms are keeping secrets about just how bad the business is, and the kids are keeping a secret about A, their relationship, and B, the fact that they're doing this cooking class. So there's all these secrets. So we're building up to the climax here, if you can't already tell. And they are preparing. It's like the day of the cooking contest. They've done all this work to prepare. And oh, there's this other little side thing that I almost forgot that actually turns out to be important. And I was like, why is all this scenes in here? This is so weird. They volunteer at the children's center, right? The youth center, and there's this little girl there named Amanda, and she's talking about like, you know, her mom lost her job and like they're really struggling and they don't know what they're gonna do, blah 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 blah. But that we were like, okay, no big deal. Like it's just a little sidebar to like, you know, establish the community or whatever. Well, as it turns out, eventually her mom gets a job, which is fantastic. And also, there was one day where there was like this really bad flooding, and she and her daughter and another little boy, her nephew, get trapped in the flood. And she has a cast on her foot, and like the kids are little, and it's flooding, and she almost didn't make it. And Pedro and Laurie happened to be nearby and basically saved them. Came out of, they were on a bus, they got off the bus and went over and saved them, saved the whole family. So like that's a little sidebar that ends up being important. So they're at the cooking contest, the family show up, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would be such a traitor to the family. Not only are you guys working together, but like you're holding hands. Are you dating the enemy? And like both of the mothers are freaking out. They're yelling at each other like, how could you, are you such a bad parent that you can't keep track of your children? And it's just this craziness. Like, you know how it goes. So they do not win the cooking contest. But when they're interviewed, they tell the judges and the whole audience, because it's like this live event, their story of how, you know, their family's businesses are failing and this is their last chance to have enough money to keep their businesses. And this large chain supermarket has been slowly ruining for like the past 2 years their whole neighborhood by causing company or small businesses to shut down and like all this stuff, and their families are rivals and they've been working together to try to save both businesses and blah 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 blah. So their story ends up like going viral, so to speak. Not really, but for lack of a better term, going viral. And so by the end of the day, even though they lost, the families are still rivals, and they are like, this is awful, like you will never see each other again, blah 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 blah. Well, because it went viral, their story, the mom that I told you about a minute ago that was in the car accident and was saved, and the daughter like goes to the community center and knows them because they volunteer, like all these connections turn out to be super beneficial, because the mom's new job that she got like a month ago is the like program coordinator at this culinary school. So she is so impressed with the business and their commitment to family and their love of cooking, etc., inspires her, and she comes up to them and says, listen, you know, even though you didn't win the contest, we want to help you. Like we want you to like, you know, sign up to be in our school. I'm going to do what I can to get you in. You know, if you're qualified, I'll make sure you get in. We're going to do stuff to try to help your family businesses. You know, we also agree that it's super important, etc. So that's basic. And then the families are like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Like we figured this out. And then also in this conversation, the families start finally being honest because they're so happy about the support that they'll finally get. And they find out that the Molinas didn't start the rat story, and the Ramirez family. And the Ramirez family didn't start the terrible working conditions about the Molinas family. And they realized that it was deals all the time, pitting them against each other in order to destroy them faster. Like, you know, horrible corporate greed, and it's awful, blah, blah, blah. So they decide to work together finally, and they support each other, and they provide help for one another all the time to, you know, make sure that their businesses don't get destroyed. And then they also now, because of their little story going viral at the cooking contest, they have way more customers because, you know, the community, you know, rallies around them and saves their business. And it's lovely. It all comes together in the end. Everybody's happy and they can be together. The families reconcile and they can be together. They don't have to hide their relationship. Very Romeo and Juliet without all the death. So it was a good book. I liked it. There were a couple of things that were like, but overall, it was a really well written story. It, in my opinion, I mean, it was a young adult book, and it was pretty predictable. It was, reminiscent of Romeo and Juliet. I really liked how, it was set in Brazil, so there was a lot of, it was a cooking book, so there were a lot of really cool Brazilian foods in there. It was really, really enjoyable in that aspect. And it had a happy ending. Most of the books I read do not have happy endings. It has a lot of death and whatnot. So, I mean, that was light and fresh. But like I said, it was okay. I enjoyed it, but it's not the typical genre that I like to read. I usually read mysteries. I usually read action stories, things of that nature, where there's like a really clear bad guy. So this was a well written book, and it was a good story. I just wasn't super excited about it because it's not a genre I usually enjoy. However, I would recommend it. I would give it probably like a 7 out of 10 because, like I said, it was pretty predictable. But if you like that kind of stuff, you would probably give it a 10 out of 10. It was really heavy with the foods, and I'm not a foodie, especially Brazilian foods I'm very unfamiliar with. Like, Mexican foods, Thai foods I love and I'm more familiar with. But there was a lot of paragraphs where it was very descriptive of the foods and the culture and stuff, which I didn't understand, so I kind of skimmed over. But I mean, I can appreciate it for what it was. And like I said, it was really well written. It was a really enjoyable story. If it's something that you like, the light stories, the happy ending stories, the very realistic stories, little rom-com. There were quite a few cute little chuckles in there as well. Alari was like super clumsy, so that was like a nice little characterization fun thing. She spilled stuff all the time, and it was very funny. So if you like a good rom-com, you 100% will like this book. It was predictable, but if that's the kind of stuff you like, then 100% you will enjoy this book. I absolutely do recommend it, and hopefully you would like it. My story is over, but I'm not done with my makeup, so I guess I'm just gonna ramble on a little bit. So at the literacy night, which was just a couple days ago, I did get to meet the author. They like had a Zoom call where she came in and told us about her writing process and what inspired her to write this book, and it was cool. We could have a little Q&A, and people asked her questions about her writing process and her inspiration and about her hometown, which was where the story takes place, in her actual real hometown. So that was kind of a cool little thing too. But yeah, it was really cool to see that. And then I just remembered there was a Brazilian food cart there, and I wanted so bad to buy some of the foods because some of the foods that they were selling were foods that the bakeries in the story sold. So it was kind of neat to be like, oh my gosh, like I just read a book about these foods and now I can actually buy some. So I forgot because I was too busy having fun at all of the other events, and then the evening ended, and well, it's a food truck in the area, so I'm sure I'll be able to find it and get some food from them another time. So yeah, that's the story. That was the event. It was a lot of fun. I want a little bit of a darker lipstick. Do I have one with me today? I don't think so. I guess I'll just do this little pink here. Ugh. Nope. This one seems to be broken. So I guess we'll go back to the first one I pulled out. It's a little lighter than I would like to wear, especially with this bold eye. But I guess it'll do, right? It'll do. Meh, it's fine. So that's the end. That's my look. I put some reddish color on because I'm going to a wine tasting this afternoon. So I chose like a winey color. I hope you like it. I might change my lipstick before I go and put on a darker lipstick. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I want that much color today. But that's my look. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed watching me pull it together, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about Salt and Sugar by Rebecca Carvalho. I think I'm saying it right. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. I hope you like the story. If you read it, or if you know it, or if it sounds interesting, I would love to hear your comments below. If you want to read it, or if you don't want to read it, all of the above. Please comment below. I would love to interact with all of y'all. And also, as I always say, please comment below any book recommendations you could give me about books you would like me to read and then talk about on my videos. I'll give you a shout out in my video if you're the recommender. And yeah, I guess that's about it. So have a fantastic weekend and stay beautiful inside and out. Bye.